Thank you for your patience. We continue to have some difficulties, but I am sure we will now have a non-stop streaming. So we continue, as we said, that we never know in life when problems, difficulties, challenges will come. In fact, life only brings to us situations, never really problems. When we do not know how to handle those situations, they tend to become problems. And when we have got not even hope of any solution, then it becomes a crisis. And before it reaches a crisis state, we must find a solution. In fact, if we are not alert and vigilant, if we are not always, as you say, on our toes, then life can just pass us by and we would be just stuck in the mundane, in the routine. In fact, the present moment, as most of you are reflecting right now, has been as though by Mother Nature a forced way for us to sit and reflect on life. But not to be dejected, not to be frustrated. In fact, dwell in contemplation and look into ourselves and see, in fact, rarely do we have time to spend with ourselves. And if now we are spending time with ourselves, let us use it positively to make those positive inner changes in our thinking, in our beliefs, and make firm convictions by which from now on, whatever positive changes we have thought for ourselves, we should start executing. Not that after this whole event is over, we sit back and get back into our own habitual routine. Such incidents in life are only giving us an awakening call, as we all are realizing right now. But we've got short memory. We tend to forget, don't we? So therefore, Bhagwan Shankaracharya reminds us by giving us the autobiography of practically most humans in this world. And in this 7th verse, we have the biography of ourselves. In fact, huge biographies are written about people, some even autobiography. But let me tell you, Shankaracharya has summarized everybody's biography in just 4 padas in 1 verse. And therefore, it is an awakening call by him to tell us that let us ourselves observe that how time has passed and how we have moved from one stage of our life to another stage of life, doing what everybody else does, and yet wanting in life to do something great, but rarely do people actually achieve it. So to remind us that let us not waste away our life in just these small attachments, but let us get ourselves to attach to the highest. Our rishis have said infinite is our potential. We only have to keep higher, nobler, greater goals. In fact, why just higher and nobler? Reach for the highest, and that is the infinite. We can do it. We must do it. And therefore, Bhagwan Shankaracharya gives us the biography of everybody. And he says, Balastavat krida saktaha tarunastavat taruni saktaha vriddhastavat chinta saktaha parame brahmani kopina saktaha Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. If we see the journey of our life, balastavat krida sakta, that when we are children, childhood goes away in attachment to toys, play, games. And those joyful moments of life, along with its toys breaking, feeling deprived, we experience a lot of sorrows and tears also. But still attached to toys, attached to games, attached to fun, our childhood just passes off, which we consider to be the most beautiful moments of our life. It passes off so quickly, and we enter into the confusing state of youth. And who of us were not confused? So don't condemn these confused youngsters, no? Because that's the time ambitions and desires are rising in the mind. But unfortunately, most of the youth days are spent only in chasing pleasures. Tarunastavat taruni sakta. That when we are young boys chase young girls chase young boys, no? And life goes in just pleasures of the senses. And we are attached to it. We feel we cannot be happy without it. And we have never ventured into discovering greater avenues of joy, happiness, fulfillment. And not finding fulfillment in that, man continues to live a life of aggrandizing wealth, seeking these pleasures at different stages of his life. And when old age comes, we would think that when everything has, or everyone has in fact abandoned them, left them, in old age there is again a unique attachment. Vriddhastavat chinta sakta. At old age, there is constant worries about why there is a backache, why there is a sneeze, what is happening to the children, what will happen to the next generation. Read the newspaper, watch the news, and as well as watch those soap operas and wonder what's happening to the world. And if you got nothing else to worry, you worry why you are not worrying. Very unique is this attachment at old age. We are concerned about everything in the world. We are concerned about every sneeze that takes place all the time. Even the conversations of elderly people, instead of being those rare opportunities to share their wisdom, to share their love, most of the time is just gone in talking and worrying about themselves, about the world, about the politics, about what will happen to the next generation. So childhood goes in nurseries, playhouses, in parks, and these days immersed in gadgets. Youth goes in chasing pleasures in nightclubs, parties, restaurants, etc. And again in gadgets. And that is also what we call social networking, we call. And old age, also these days, they are on gadgets, watching those terrible news and sending forwards that everyone gets. Everyone around the world sends those same forwards, and if you've got nothing else to do, so keep repeating those forwards. At least during this time, some new forwards are coming in. But life just goes away. And the great Acharya says, Parame Brahmani kopi na sakta. And in this life, with the intellect that we have been given, the capacity to discriminate between not only good and bad, right and wrong, but even between permanent and impermanent, and to seek the permanent, the supreme, infinite Brahman, which is possible mainly in this human life. We get attached to, and whatever we get attached to, our mind is constantly brooding on attaining it. And therefore, constantly it is striving for it with the hope of happiness. Therefore, balastavat krida saktaha, tarunastavat taruni saktaha, vriddhastavat chinta saktaha, parame brahmani kopina saktaha. And in this life, where we could have expressed our infinite potential and reach the infinite, in fact, very rare to the point that it is negligible. Even those who take to the spiritual path get so entangled in so many unnecessary things that the attachment, the devotion that should be for the infinite begins to dwindle. And life goes then attached to just finite things again. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Then the question is, okay, this is how most people spend their life. Then how should we spend our life? Pujya Guruji, Swami Chinmayananda, in his composition, Aging Gracefully, has pointed out what Bhagwan Shankaracharya implies by giving this biography, this criticism of most people's living. And he says that balastavat siksha saktaha, that as children, it's the most amazing time for learning. And therefore, in childhood, we should have fun and games. And in all the fun and games, we should be attached to learning. The whole question is, what have we learned from our games? What have we learned from our elders? What have we started learning from our education system? Therefore, be attached to siksha, learning, to gain knowledge. So play for sure. And we can make even learning a fun experience. Therefore, as children, where the capacity to gain, learn knowledge and literally grab knowledge from the atmosphere, if we invoke in children the attachment, the thirst for learning. Attachment to the lower can go only with the attachment to something more meaningful and higher. Therefore, balastavat siksha saktaha, tarunastavat diksha nishtha. That as a youngster, that youngster we admire, who is a person of conviction, of certain self-discipline, one who has got some higher goal and ambition, and the conviction and dedication to reach that goal. A higher purpose of life, a greater goal in life, fulfillment even one's noble ambition, with the conviction, nishtha. That youngster, even though in midst of all the youth, shines out. And therefore, he points out that a youth must be one with firm conviction, firm vows. So whenever we take up a goal in our life, we must do it with conviction. We must strive for it with conviction. And vriddhastavat bhiksha vrittaha. as you grow old, if you have lived your life of duties, dedication, giving and sharing, then you will find that as you age, you develop a certain amount of independence, which Bhagwan Shankaracharya has been indicating in the last two verses of our family commitments and duties. That if we have lived our life producing more than what we consume, giving more than what we take, and that too also with the least amount of expectation, finding glory in the love to give and to share, then such a person becomes independent, not dependent. Yes, there are certain physical requirements, but even such a person does not worry, because the wisdom of life, as it will be pointed out also in Bhaja Govindam, that the wisdom of life is work, but do not be attached to the results. Work, do not worry about the results. And whatever we need in life, and whatever is happening in life, is for the best. Where we see anybody suffering, it is our duty to go and help them. But at the same time, when you say Bhiksha Vrittaha, it means that whatever comes in life, including food, and it's amazing that we have seen our elders to whom everything was provided, but even in the house, they lived with the barest minimum. Even those who lived in huge luxurious houses, it is up to the wise to live accepting what comes to them by destiny, by grace of God, by whatever comes to them. Then living in the house itself, such elderly people are bhikshus. Not those who go and ask for food, but those who accept what comes to them. And when that acceptance is there, there is no worry, there is no anxiety. And leave the future generation with the best of guidance that we can give to live their destiny, learning from the elderly and the wise. And Guruji says that such people only Sadha Brahma Anuraktaha. These people only remain ever dwelling, attached to, aspiring and abiding in Brahman, the infinite reality. In short, most people are born as a caterpillar. They eat, they indulge. Only few caterpillars who withdraw within themselves, worryless, completely surrendered into the cocoon, come forth out as the beautiful butterfly that flies into the sky, that drinks the nectar of life from the beautiful flowers of the scriptural teachings. And they are the ones who spread joy, spreading the pollen everywhere, bring forth for us the fruits, the juicy fruits for us to enjoy with their freedom of thought, their freedom of expression, the beauty of their life. They give us the fruits of joy, happiness and wisdom. And therefore, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Get attached to the Supreme. That turns into devotion. So Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. The most beautiful time of our childhood that many of you might remember was the story time. And the child in us also enjoys stories even now. Today, even in corporate houses, say enough of giving us these charts and what to do, etc. Just tell us stories. And stories inspire us. And can you imagine our childhood without the stories? And that too also the beautiful, enchanting stories of the Ramayana, of the Bhagavatam, of Sri Ram, Sri Krishna, and of the great heroes that our culture has produced. In fact, they were our inspiration, and especially the bedtime stories as we crawled around our grandmothers, Dadi Ma ki kahani. And when we crawled around her at bedtime, and when in her imitable style, so lovingly, she just told a story. And so many lessons, so many ideals, so many wisdoms we got from those stories. Therefore, many of our children, and I have seen photographs sent by people, their children also listening, and even little children listening to Bhaja Govindam. Chinmaya Mission, from Saturday, Indian time, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. will be broadcasting live story time. And some of my most beautiful times as a brahmachari and sannyasi was when I would spend time with number of Balvihar classes in a day with all the children of various ages. And one of the most favorite moments or classes or story time for the children and even for me was when I used to tell them the Krishna stories. And those who have become even parents now, whenever I meet them round the world, when I hear Krishna, Krishna, I know these are our Balvihar children who reveled in the stories of Krishna, and now they are sending their children to Balvihar. So for our children especially, and for the child in each one of us, we will be having session story time. And these will be stories from our wonderful scriptures. And let us all join in with our children, with your grandchildren, nieces, nephews online, and spread the word, for this is story time. Please look out for the banner that comes up, and please spread the word so that children who are sitting at home right now, some of them also getting a bit bored as well as getting a bit cranky, I'm told. But these children are lovely. Give them moments of joy. Give them story time. Hari Om, and we'll conclude with Shanti Path. And I again congratulate as well as my heartful gratitude and appreciation for those who worked day and night for the Hanuman Chalisa chanting for 24 hours. And let me tell all of you that millions of chanting took place throughout the world for the welfare of the world, in which we all are included and our welfare included. So my appreciation again, and Bhagwan's blessings, Hanumanji's blessings on all of them and all of us. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.